this group. And I love Miami. I love to be with the people. Many of you are not from Miami, but that's okay too. And I'm thrilled to be back in magnificent Florida, Miami, Florida, with thousands of incredible business leaders and true American patriots. That's what you are. We're gathered today on the one-year anniversary of the single most consequential election victory. They say, this is them, this isn't me. I'm a very modest person. I would never say this. The single most consequential election victory in American history. It's possible. I mean, it's possible. We've done a lot. On November 5th, 2024, the American people reclaimed our government. We restored our sovereignty. We lost a little bit of sovereignty last night in New York, but we'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. We rescued our economy, regained our liberty, and together we saved our country. On that magnificent night, 365 days ago, you know, I was with a group of very important people, and they say, think of it, last week, just last week, 6 days ago, 7 days ago, they said, you were campaigning 1 year ago. I said, no, it felt like I've been in this position for so long. And it's right. At that point, 1 year ago, I was actually campaigning. We did the McDonald's shot. Remember the McDonald's shot? We did the garbage truck shot. And actually, the McDonald's one was the biggest hit in the history of Google. Can you believe that? Number one, the garbage truck did well, but not as well. I guess there's something about McDonald's, right? But it worked, and we won a tremendous election. We won all 7 swing states. We won the great state of Florida, by the way, by 1.4 million votes, which is unprecedented. Biggest victory ever in Florida, including an 11-point victory right here in a place called Miami-Dade County. We won the popular vote for the first time of any Republican in many decades. We won the Electoral College 312 to 226. And we won 86% of the counties in America. That's a big one. 2,700 to 525. I'd say that's called a landslide, right? We got more votes from African Americans than any Republican candidate in history. We also won a record share of votes from the incredible Hispanic American community. There might be a couple of us left. Biggest vote in history. And above all, we won a resounding mandate to make America great again, which is what we're doing. And every day since, I've been fighting to turn the promise made into the ultimate promise kept. We're going to do our job. We have a big job to do. We've done really well. I think it's the best 9 months, they say, of any president. And I really believe that if we can have a few more 9 months like this, you'd be very happy. You'd be very satisfied. But it's been pretty incredible, with trillions and trillions of dollars being poured back into our country by other countries and other places and people. 1 year ago, we were a dead country. Now we're a country that's considered the hottest country anywhere in the world. It's the hottest country. We are now in the hottest country anywhere in the world. And I'm pleased to report that today the United States has the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation anywhere. We have the greatest economy right now. A lot of people don't see that. But if you look at what's happening with all the factories, AI, auto plants all over the country being built, that if you would have thought about that 2 or 3 years ago, you would have said it was the opposite. They were all leaving. Now they're all coming in. They're all coming back, and then some. And I think that we can honestly say, and I think you're going to see it even more so over the next 12 months, that this is the golden age of America. This is the golden age. In the prior 4 years, crooked Joe Biden oversaw less than $1 trillion of new investment in the United States. So in 4 years, less than, think of it, less than 1 trillion. That was not doing too good. In 9 months, I've secured commitments of over $18 trillion, and we're going to have $21 trillion within the first year. So Sleepy Joe did, think of that. In 4 years, he did less than $1 trillion. We're going to have 21 trillion in 1 year. I would say it's slightly better. Slightly, just a little bit better. The stock market has set 40-time all-time record highs, and just recently, record high, record high, record high. All of them, all of the different exchanges. GDP growth in the second quarter was an amazing, almost 4%. And as you know, they said, oh, it'll be 2% or 1%. And it's been really helped a lot by the tariffs. It's been really helped incredibly, because this is really a transition period. We went from a horrible, failed country to a tremendous success. It's a transition, and yet we did almost 4%, triple and even quadruple almost every other country anywhere in the world. Think of that. In the third quarter, we're on track to achieve an estimated 4.2, maybe more. Who knows? I think if you go a couple of years out, you're going to see numbers like you've never seen, because all of these places that are now under construction, they're being built, they're going to be open, and thousands of jobs, hundreds of thousands of jobs are coming in, even building them. But when they open, that's when you're really going to see the numbers. We're building some of the biggest buildings ever built anywhere in the world. The AI buildings, you know, they can cover, they show displays of them. They can cover the island of Manhattan. They're so big. They literally can cover the island of Manhattan. In 9 months, we've lifted over 600,000 Americans off of food stamps, which is a record. 1.9 million more American-born workers are employed today. Think of that. Almost 2 million American-born workers are employed today, more than when I took office. That's 9 months ago. Can you imagine that? And I tell Republicans, if you want to win elections, you got to talk about these facts, you know. It's really easy to win elections when you talk about the facts. And we have more people working now than at any time in the history of our country. Right now, we have more people working. These are things you have to talk about. It doesn't just happen. You got to tell them. It's wonderful to do them, but if people don't talk about them, then you can do not so well in elections. Wages for workers are rising at the fastest pace in over 60 years. Those are workers, and that's what we love. We love the workers. Since I took office, wages for the typical factory worker are up $1,300. Construction workers' pay is up $2,200, and miners are up nearly $5,000 this year alone. And that's good, because it's not, you know, such an extra cost to the company. It really isn't. Somebody would say, oh, what's going to cost more? The fact is that they're doing such business like they've never done. You're going to start seeing numbers coming out very soon that are going to blow your mind. Under Biden, we had the worst inflation in modern history. We had inflation that was so bad, costing the typical family about $33,000 over a period of time. Their policies send food prices up 23. They come in, you know, when I first came in, I was in for 3 days, and one of the fake news members, they're all back there. That's a lot of press. Fake news. They said, egg prices are through the roof. I was there for 3 days, and this maniac, this lunatic person, happened to be a woman. Sir, what are you going to do about egg prices? And they'd gone up like 4 or 5 times. I said, well, you just told me it has a problem. And people weren't buying Easter eggs. You believe it? I said, we're buying Easter eggs for the White House, for the egg hunt, the famous egg hunt. But within a couple of months, we got them down. We have a great Department of Agriculture headed by Brooke Rollins, and we did a great job, and we got them down to the level they originally were a long time ago. And we have that in just about everything. And if we don't have it, we get them down. Their policies sent food prices soaring 23%, the Biden policies. And it wasn't him. It was the people surrounding him around the desk. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. Biden. How the hell did that happen? Well, I know how it happened. A rigged election. That's how it happened. Think of the damage done. Although I must tell you, but this is a much more powerful term. I mean, this is a much better term. In one way, it's bad to see how bad people... You're going to see the same thing in New York, by the way. You watch what happens in New York. Terrible. But you're going to see that same thing. And I hope it doesn't happen, but you're going to see it. Gas prices are surging to $5 a gallon, even higher, and mortgage rates skyrocketed by 152%. But under the Trump administration, all of that is changing. Prices are coming down very fast, and we're bringing them back to the beautiful part where you can have, and you can truly say, we're talking about the American dream again. You didn't used to hear that term. You heard it during my 4 years, and then it disappeared. Now you're hearing it again more than ever. Because we had the most successful economy in the history of our country during my first 4 years. We rebuilt the economy, cut the biggest tax cut in history. We had the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest regulation cut in history. That's why we had the great economy. And now the only difference is we're doing better this time. Actually, we're going to have a bigger, better, stronger economy than the first 4 years. And that was the most successful economy in history. Gasoline prices have plummeted to the lowest in 2 decades, and we're going to soon see $2 gasoline. Think of that, $2 a gallon. It was up to $4.50, $5. And you know, when you get gasoline and you get oil and gas down, it's so big, it's so massive, the importance of it, that everything else starts to follow. And that's what's happening. Grocery prices are way down, and Walmart just announced that the cost of their standard Thanksgiving meal, this is the greatest. They're wonderful. They come out every year with how much does a Thanksgiving meal cost compared to last year, right? And it always goes up, up, up. It's 40%, 30% more. Is 25% lower than 1 year ago. Isn't that great? That's a big deal, Rima. That's a big deal. I don't know if they care about that in Saudi Arabia, but here it means a lot. We got the princess here from Saudi Arabia. She's got a lot of cash. Serious cash, and she's a great person. So she doesn't care about the price of a turkey is down a little bit, you know. She doesn't have to worry about it. Since March, the price of eggs is down 85%. Energy prices are down, interest rates are down, despite the fact that we have a total nincompoop at the Federal Reserve. It was recommended by one of my real great people, who I'd never spoke to again. And the cost of the typical new mortgage is down by nearly $3,000 a year. Day by day, we're making America affordable again. It's going to be affordable again at a really record pace. And, you know, other people are going to take credit. All the mayors and all the governors, they're going to say what a great job. They didn't do a damn thing. Yet as we speak, the Democrats in Congress are trying to put all of this progress at risk and drag us back to the Biden policies of soaring prices, crushing energy costs, massive spending, open borders, let the world come into our country from prisons and from mental institutions, let them pour in, and rampant inflation. That's what Biden gave us, all of those things. With the reckless Democrat shutdown, virtually every Democrat in Congress has voted to hold the American people hostage in an effort to extort hundreds of billions of dollars in new spending. They're demanding free health care for illegal aliens that just came into our country from prisons and from mental institutions, and drug dealers and drug addicts, and they want to give $1.5 trillion in giveaways that would turbocharge rapid inflation again, as they did the first time. You remember that just a couple of years ago, 4 disastrous years we just had. They were the worst years. Meanwhile, the radical left Democrats are causing millions of Americans who depend on food stamps to go without benefits. They're forcing federal workers to go without paychecks, and they're stranding thousands of travelers at the airports. And you understand it, and they understand it. All because they want to return to the failed Biden policies that created, and also Obama policies. I watched him the other day up talking, well, Donald Trump is a mean person. I'm not a mean person. I just want to have a country that's great again. Is that okay? I'm not a mean person. He's a mean person. He's a divider. He's a divider. Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. And by the way, ask him how he's doing in his museum library. He's got hundreds of millions of dollars of cost overruns. It's come to a dead halt. He built it in not a particularly good location. He's not into real estate, you know. He doesn't know about location. He doesn't know about location, but he built it in a location that's not going to be too good. But the thing has come to a dead halt. It's way over budget. It's sort of like Gavin Newsom in California. He's got a train that was supposed to go from San Francisco to Los Angeles, which is a stupid idea because an airplane is faster. I don't care how fast it goes. And they had plenty of airplanes. San Francisco, inside San Francisco to inside right there, L.A. And what they did is they said, oh, man, this has been going on for years. It's billions and billions of dollars over budget. So what they decided to do is cut it so that it doesn't go into San Francisco and into L.A. It goes way short of both. And then they cut it again and again and again. Pretty soon they're going to have like 2 miles of track. Billions and billions of dollars, totally incompetent. The biggest cost overrun proportionately that I've ever seen. Many, many, many times more. And it's no longer the same. It was supposed to go into the city. Now it's way short, many miles short of the city. So they're going to drop you off and you can walk the rest of the way. That train is going to haunt him. You watch, because he doesn't have what it takes. I tell you that. Slimy guy. He's a slimy one. Maybe that should be his nickname. Slimy Newscomb, right? But he doesn't have it. But you look at that train, it's going to cost him. Republicans have voted 14 times to fund the government. And it's time for Chuck Schumer, crying Chuck. Remember he started crying at the airplanes? They were the worst forced tears. I've known him all his life. He's never cried. But he broke down in tears. He was so devastated. He didn't know why he was crying, but he just thought it was good to do. His people told him this was a good time to cry. Crying Chuck. But it's time for Chuck Schumer and the radical Democrat Congress to stop playing games with the people's lives and to pass a clean funding bill that they've done 30 times before. And to reopen government immediately. Just reopen it. They don't like it to be reopened because we're setting records. They think actually, I don't think anything's going to hurt. We are so strong now that I'm not sure that anything's going to hurt. But it would be good to open it up, take care of the people with jobs that aren't going to get paid and aren't getting paid. And no matter what, we will not let them impose their inflation-causing extremism on the American people. We're not going to pay $1.5 billion for people that came into our country illegally, okay? If you don't mind. That's what they did last time. Remember the Inflation Reduction Act? The greatest scam, one of the greatest scams. I would say some of their environmental scams were even bigger, but one of the greatest scams ever, Inflation Reduction Act. And then they admitted it had nothing to do with inflation reduction, remember? But it did actually cause massive inflation. It actually caused massive inflation. But we don't use auto pens in the Trump administration to sign things. We don't believe in that. You know, I get these guys come in with these big, beautiful documents, gorgeous, beautiful, must cost a fortune. I should check the price. But, you know, a general is being made or something, you know, some big post. And they say, sir, would you sign this, please? It's going to be a 4-star general, or it's going to be a big cabinet position, or it's going to be something with medical or whatever. I take my pen and I sign it. In his case, they walk it into a room and they give it to somebody who's no idea who Biden is. But Biden doesn't have any idea who he is either. And they have a machine sign it, the auto pen. And all of the pardons, he gave thousands of pardons to people. He had no idea about it. He didn't know about it. And therefore, all those pardons are void. You know, you have to have, it's a very complicated thing if you're going to use a machine. You have to do it properly. And he didn't have any idea what was happening. And this is what we had as a president. We don't want that. You have the opposite right now. I don't want to be braggadocious, but you have the exact, I know exactly what's happened. If you want to see what congressional Democrats wish to do to America, just look at the result of yesterday's election in New York, where their party installed a communist as the mayor of the largest city in the nation. Remember, I've said we will never have a socialist elected to any post in our country. I used to say that, and I was right. We skipped socialist and we put in a communist instead. That didn't work out too well. But as I've warned for many years, our opponents are hell-bent on turning America into a communist Cuba or socialist Venezuela, and you see what happened to those places. For generations, Miami has been a haven for those fleeing communist tyranny in South Africa. I mean, if you take a look at what's going on in parts of South Africa, look at South Africa, what's going on. Look at South America, what's going on. You know, I'm not going to, we have a G20 meeting in South Africa. South Africa shouldn't even be in the Gs anymore because what's happened there is bad. I'm not going. I told them I'm not going. I'm not going to represent our country there. It shouldn't be there. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of South America. Take a look at what's happening in different parts of the world. But now the Democrats are so extreme that Miami will soon be the refuge for those fleeing communism in New York City. They flee. They flee. Where do you live? New York City, but I'm trying to leave because I don't want to live in a communist regime. I hope it works out for New York. I love New York. I love New York. When I left New York for the White House, it was good, except we had, you know, the telltale signs of trouble because we had a guy named de Blasio. Do you ever hear of him as mayor? He goes down as probably the worst mayor in history. Then he went to Harvard to teach government. Do you believe it? They took de Blasio, and they took that mayor from Chicago, the woman, the one that gets her hair done very expensively, right? Beautiful hair. She got beautiful, luxuriant hair. And they took her, and she's teaching at Harvard. They're teaching government. And then you hear about Harvard. We're trying to work a settlement with Harvard right now for about, like, a lot of money. I won't tell you what, but you'll be reading about it pretty soon. Because what they've done to Jewish people and what they've done to others is pretty bad, I'll tell you. It's pretty bad. Going to cost them a lot of money. After last night's results, the decision facing all Americans could not be more clear. We have a choice between communism and common sense. Does that make sense to you? Common sense. It's common sense or communism. And, you know, you take a look back 1,000 years, it hasn't worked. If it worked, we'd be using it, I guess, but it hasn't worked. Our opponents are offering an economic nightmare. We're delivering an economic miracle. We have delivered in 9 months. This is an economic, the biggest investment of funds in a country in history by many times. That's good. They want higher spending for government and illegal aliens. We want bigger paychecks for American workers and American families, and that's what we're delivering. You see that. They stand for crime and chaos and corruption. We stand for law and order and justice. Also, strong borders. Boy, do we have strong borders. They put America last. We put America first. We put America first. And as long as I'm in the White House, the United States is not going communist in any way, shape, or form. We'll stop it. We're going to stop it. Stop this nonsense. You know, I said they were voting last night. You can have a communist or a thug. A communist, and they took the communist, you know. It's pretty amazing. We could have done a little better in terms of candidates. From day one of my administration, I've been fighting every single day to turn around the catastrophe we inherited to make America the best place on the planet Earth to do business. And that's what it is. Right now, we're the #1 place. I'm getting plants approved in 2 weeks that used to take 20 years before they got rejected. You'd have young people start off. Their whole business was getting a certain plant accepted. 22 years later, they're ready to retire, and they haven't gotten it. And then they go to a vote, and they get rejected after 22. They wasted a whole life looking for an acceptance. We do it in 2 weeks. We make sure it's good. We make sure it's great and proper, environmentally sound. Takes 2 weeks. My goal is to have the best tax rates, the lowest energy cost, the lowest regulatory burden, the most advanced technology, and the fairest trade deals anywhere in the world. You know, we're leading China. We're leading everybody by a lot in AI. And this was my idea, so I'm very proud of it. I said, build your own electric. People would come. We need more electric grid, sir. The electric grid's 200 years old. We need more electric grid. It's old. The electricity that the AI plants need alone is double the entire electricity that we have in the country right now. Can you believe it? So I had this idea. I said, we can't fix the old grid that much. We'll fix it up. We'll keep it going. A little Band-Aid here, a little Band-Aid there. It's old. And I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to let these geniuses build their own electric generation. So they are building their own electric utility plants. They become a utility, if you think about it. They're building the utility and the electric right alongside. This is where they have their transformers and everything. They're building the most expensive electric plants you've ever seen, generating plants, some by nuclear, some by oil and gas, some by coal as a substitute. They're building them right next to their plant, and they're incredible. People say they've never seen anything like it because these minds are genius. To them, an electric plant is not complicated. To them, an electric plant is better than the people that produce electricity, although Florida Power and Light is doing a lot of plants for people. They're pretty advanced, I have to tell you. But they're building their own juice next to the plant. Isn't that sort of a cool idea? And, you know, when I first proposed that, they came into my office with, you know, they have unlimited money, but they were trying to figure out how they can build it because they had no electric of any consequence. And I said, you're going to build your own plant. I'm going to get you your approvals in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe a month if I'm slow. We have a great man, Lee Zeldin, in charge of the environment. He's incredible. And he's tough, too. He's very tough. But they have their approval in 2-3 weeks. You know, they're dealing with the best experts in the world. They know what they're doing. It's amazing when you see some of the stuff come in, designed by guys with 190 IQs, and then you have an inspector who's not quite as smart as that, inspecting it to see whether or not it's okay, and he has no idea what he's looking at. No idea. But I said, you're designing your own electric plant, and they didn't believe it. They come in 2 weeks later, they said, the biggest problem is electric. I said, you can design your own plant, and we're going to have your approvals within 2 to 4 weeks. And they said, he's really serious about it. They thought I was kidding. It was so good. They couldn't believe it. They'd leave and they couldn't believe it. It took me 2 or 3 times to say it. Yeah, they're designing their own electric plants, and it's unbelievable. And then they're going to sell their excess electricity back into the grid. So we benefit in that way, too. In July, I proudly signed into law the largest tax cuts in American history. Now, that's the second time. I did it the first time, but these are even larger, the great, big, beautiful bill. And that includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors, no tax on Social Security. I wonder which is the most popular of the no tax on tips. You know, I was in Nevada, in my building in Las Vegas, and I had this beautiful young waitress come up to me. I never talk about beauty anymore because politically, if you mention somebody's beautiful, that's the end of your political career. So I don't mention that she was beautiful, but she was beautiful. And she came up and I said, how you doing? Oh, sir, I'm not doing well. The government is horrible on tips. I said, really? How do they tax? They tax tips? They tax us and they go after us. I've never seen anything like it. It's made my life miserable. Sir, there should be no tax on tips. She said to me, no tax on tips. I said, say it again. She said, sir, there should be no tax on tips. So we had a lot of the fake news waiting for me outside of the restaurant. So I went out, I said, ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. There will be no tax on tips. That's how it all started. And I won Nevada. I won Nevada. Because, you know, in Nevada, every job is basically, you know, you're a waitress or you're working in a hotel. No, that's how it started. So it was amazing. We won Nevada easily, which is usually not a stronghold for Republicans, but it's become a stronghold. So I want to thank the waitress. She did a great job. But when she said those words, sir, there should be no tax on tips, it's amazing. Somebody else would hire a consultant, pay them millions and millions of dollars. They'll come back and they'll say, sir, I think you should absolutely tax tips. And you'll lose the election. But we also have 100% expensing for all new factories, plants, and equipment so your businesses can write it off all in 1 year, and that's a lot of jobs you're doing and producing. That was, to me, the biggest thing in the first bill. But this is even better because this goes for a 10-year period. Upon taking office, I signed an executive order requiring that every new regulation, every time we issue a new regulation, think of this, 10 old regulations must be eliminated simultaneously. So if we give you one, you get rid of 10. And so far, for 9 months, we're exceeding that. And it's 30 to 1. For every new one we give, they're getting rid of 30 old, broken down regulations. And we've slashed nearly $1 trillion worth of regulatory burdens. We have regulations that are so old and nobody uses them, but they stymied a lot of production, a lot of jobs. And I did it the first time, and we had the largest regulation cuts in history, and now we're exceeding it this time. So it's big. It's one of the reasons we did so well then, and I think it's one of the reasons we're doing so well now.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.